he's redeemed in some way, but at the same time not throw the baby out with the bathwater. So you have to make sure that reassure the audience that he's still the same character. So I mean that's another sort of circle we had to square. How do you have him still be this annoying fool essentially, but have a moment of redemption, because he's and part of the way you do that is by showing that I think Alan works best when the audience thinks there for the grace of God go I. When he does something which is foolish or stupid, but we're all a heartbeat away from doing the same thing. Most of us don't do things that Alan Partridge do because we've got better judgment. But it's only one small step to sort of doing the wrong thing, or saying the wrong thing.
Okay, let's take questions from the press. Yes.
You want me to wait for the mic, right?
Yes. I guess.
That's a definitive yes. Are you terrified over the thought that Alan Partridge will become an international phenomenon and you'll have to make sequels?
No, because I don't think it will. And also, but I mean, the reason I made this film is because I was doing enough other work that I thought was good that I didn't feel like I was a one-trick pony. I just wrote a film called Philomena, which I'm very excited about, which I'm sort of going to be promoting in America. That I wrote for me and Judi Dench, and I did a film with Michael Winterbottom. I've done like 5 films with him now. And because I'd started to do this other stuff, I was happier to come back to Alan. I didn't feel like I was doing it because I wanted to, not because I had to. No, I actually think that it's quite a British character, and we didn't try to Americanize it in any way, because I didn't want to do that. And my attitude was always, well, if people like it in the US, then that's great. But I think really it will have a cult following. I mean, who knows? But it's not one of those. It's not like a Judd Apatow film. It's a very British character, and I don't think the Americans particularly warm. Americans like funny films with guys who are ultimately successful, and the British like characters who are basically failures. And
says a lot about England, doesn't it?
And I don't think that's that. I think that's that slightly inherent quality of Alan means that he'll never be embraced, because the Americans would just say that guy's a douchebag. Why would I want to hang out with him? Whereas the British like that kind of thing.
Yes. I was pointing at you, Jim. Wait for the mic.
Yeah.
I'm sort of curious about why British people like Alan Partridge. But the way I'm going to ask the question is, since we're talking about a fantasy version of him, is what do you think he and the Queen would talk about?
Well, I think Alan Partridge is definitely a royalist. He's fairly right-wing, I think. He's got some liberal sensibilities, but he would just. I mean, it would be a wet dream for him to meet the Queen and talk to her. He would just enjoy very, very inconsequential small talk. I mean, I think he would spend an hour talking about the weather and her corgis.
Is that an insight into why she's so popular still with the common people?
What, the Queen?
The Queen.
I think the Queen sort of, unlike other members of the royal family, even amongst sort of skeptics, people have a sort of respect for her. I'm not a royalist. I think Bolsheviks have the right idea when it comes to royal families. I'm not a royalist at all. I think it's sort of the apotheosis of a class system which riddles Britain throughout British society, and we're still sort of slightly class-obsessed country, and part of that is down to the fact that we still deify this family who are there, you know, the people who are deified through just an accident of birth, which is just bonkers. But the Queen, within that sort of family, I think even amongst, I mean, I think she's quite a dignified person.
I don't know how we got onto this. Yeah.
Steve, a few years ago you delivered a superb smackdown about the Murdoch Press's outrageous privacy violations. It doesn't seem like a lot's changed since then.
If you're referring to the hacking scandal in the UK, there was a public inquiry, a judicial inquiry, in fact, led by Lord Leveson, that he published his findings about a year ago. The new body that will which is a self-governing body, has yet to be set up. So it's not over yet. And in actual fact, I think you're wrong. I think things have changed slightly. I think the press are slightly more circumspect at the moment. That may be that they're keeping their powder dry because they want to behave themselves before this body's set up, to say, look, we've changed, we're really, really well behaved now. I think that there's certainly, I think there has been a change, certainly in terms of the public attitude after the Minnie Dowler scandal, and when they found out lots of victims of crime had been abused by the press. I think there was a sort of sea change in terms of the public's attitude, and as I say, that's not been resolved yet. So the new body that's been set up hasn't been finalised. So it's even though it's long and laborious, it's still an ongoing process. So it's quite boring for a lot of people. I was involved in this. I took legal action against a newspaper who hacked my phone. That's the long-winded answer.
Yes, right in the middle.